Think you've seen shocking TV exits? Think again. From backstage feuds to public meltdowns, some stars didn't just leave their shows. They were erased. Networks spent millions covering their tracks, rewriting entire seasons overnight. Ready to see which beloved characters got the ultimate cancellation? This list might just shatter your favorite series memories forever. Number 15. Isaiah Washington's Dr. Preston Burke, Grey's Anatomy. One minute he's a brilliant cardiothoracic surgeon at Seattle Grace. The next, poof, gone without a proper goodbye. Isaiah Washington's Dr. Preston Burke didn't just leave Grey's Anatomy. He was surgically removed from the show's future after season 3 in a behind-the-scenes drama that rocked Hollywood. Burke was the composed counterpart to Christina Yang's intensity, creating one of TV's most compelling relationships. The character was written out after Washington reportedly used a homophobic slur during an on-set argument, then repeated it at the Golden Globes while denying the incident. ABC didn't renew his contract faster than, you could say, scalpel. His exit was brutal, leaving Christina at the altar with nothing but a devastating speech about how he was taking himself back. No death scene, no farewell tour, just gone. Fans were stunned by the abruptness, especially since Burke was a fan favorite who'd survived a near-fatal shooting just episodes before. Creator Shonda Rhimes didn't pull punches, saying, "There's no way to write for that character anymore." The aftermath? A character arc severed mid-beat, storylines frantically rewritten, and a wedding episode that cost millions to produce, only to end in character assassination rather than matrimony. Years later, Washington would briefly return for Sandra Oh's exit, proving TV feuds can heal, but never completely. Burke's departure didn't just change Grey's, it changed how networks handle controversial stars forever. One backstage comment, and 7 years of medical brilliance flatlined overnight. Number 14. Charlie Sheen's Charlie Harper, 2.5 Men. Ever seen a character not just killed off, but obliterated beyond recognition? Charlie Sheen's Charlie Harper didn't just leave 2.5 Men. He was literally turned into a splatter of goop by a falling piano in what might be television's most vengeful write-out ever. Harper was the show's center, a wealthy, womanizing jingle writer whose beachfront lifestyle anchored 8 massively successful seasons. Then came Sheen's infamous 2011 meltdown, complete with tiger blood rants, public attacks on creator Chuck Lorre, and that train wreck of a violent torpedo of truth tour. CBS and Warner Brothers didn't just fire Sheen, they nuked him from orbit. When season 9 premiered, viewers learned Charlie had died off-screen in Paris, but lore wasn't finished. In the series finale, it was revealed Charlie had been alive all along, only to be crushed by a piano seconds after appearing on screen, with Lorre turning to the camera to deliver Sheen's catchphrase, "Winning." The fallout was nuclear. Sheen called it stupid and immature, while Lorre claimed it was appropriate. The $1.8 million per episode star was replaced by Ashton Kutcher, but ratings never fully recovered from the whiplash. 2.5 Men had always pushed boundaries, but this behind-the-scenes feud crossed into personal vendetta territory. The lesson? In Hollywood, characters may be fictional, but grudges are painfully real. One public meltdown, and television's highest-paid actor went from winning to wiped out. Number 13. Shannon Doherty's Brenda Walsh, Beverly Hills 90210. The original TV teen queen didn't fade away, she vanished overnight. Shannon Doherty's Brenda Walsh, the sharp-tongued brunette who gave 90210 its edge, mysteriously went to study in London after season 4 and never came back, in what remains one of TV's most notorious firings. Brenda was the show's emotional anchor, the Midwest transplant navigating Beverly Hills' shark-infested waters with remarkable authenticity. Her romance with Dylan McKay defined early 90s teen angst. Then came the reports, lateness, attitude problems, and a legendary feud with co-star Jenny Garth that allegedly escalated to actual fistfights between takes. Producer Aaron Spelling finally pulled the plug after castmates reportedly gave him an ultimatum. It's her or us. The result? A hastily written study-abroad exit with zero closure for the character who'd carried the show's first seasons. Critics called the move narrative malpractice, while fans were left hanging. The ratings wobbled but survived, proving 902 tones ensemble strength. Meanwhile, Doherty moved to Charmed, only to repeat history with another controversial exit years later. What makes Brenda's departure legendary isn't just that it happened. It's that the show barely acknowledged it. No dramatic death, no tearful goodbye, just gone, like she'd never defined the series. In the high school of TV drama, Brenda Walsh didn't graduate. She was expelled off camera. One backstage feud and television's most authentic teen voice was silenced mid-sentence. Number 12. Thomas Gibson's Aaron Hotchner, Criminal Minds. From stoic unit chief to vanished without a trace. Thomas Gibson's Aaron Hotchner, the unshakable backbone of Criminal Minds for 11 seasons, didn't just leave. He was erased after Gibson allegedly kicked a writer during a creative dispute, proving even FBI profilers can't escape network justice. Hotchner was the show's emotional anchor, a trauma-hardened agent whose personal tragedies, his wife's murder chief among them, never compromised his leadership. His stern demeanor and rare smiles made those emotional moments land like thunderbolts. Then came the on-set altercation that changed everything. CBS and ABC Studios initially suspended Gibson for 2 episodes. Days later, they fired him completely. His character was hastily written out, first on special assignment, then permanently gone after learning his family was being stalked. No heroic blaze of glory for one of TV's longest-running unit chiefs. The backlash was immediate. Hunter Hotch's My Hero trended as fans revolted against the jarring exit. Critics called it disrespectful to the character's legacy, while co-star Shemar Moore posted, then deleted cryptic messages about karma. Most shocking? The show ran 4 more seasons without him, proving no character is truly irreplaceable. Gibson later admitted, "I feel like I let the fans down." But the damage was done. Criminal Minds had profiled countless fictional monsters, but couldn't predict or prevent its own behind-the-scenes drama. One heated moment and 11 years of character development was locked away like an unsub. Number 11. Columbus Short's Harrison Wright. Scandal. Remember the gladiator in a suit who suddenly vanished? Columbus Short's Harrison Wright, Olivia Pope's right-hand fixer, didn't just leave Scandal. He was found dead between seasons with barely an explanation after Short's real-life scandals became too explosive for even Shonda Rhimes to handle. Harrison was Scandal's smooth-talking loyalist, the true believer in Olivia's white hat rhetoric with a mysterious past and unflappable confidence. He delivered machine gun dialogue that made political crises seem solvable with just the right words. Then Short's personal troubles, including domestic violence allegations and substance issues, spilled into public view. ABC quietly declined to renew his contract. When Season 4 premiered, viewers were simply told Harrison had been killed, his death reduced to an off-screen afterthought. No flashbacks, no grand sacrifice, just gone, with only a funeral glimpse of a closed casket. Rhimes, normally vocal about creative decisions, remained uncharacteristically quiet. The Washington Gladiators mourned briefly before moving on, the narrative machine barely missing a beat. Critics called it the weakest exit for a major character in Rhimes' universe, while fans complained the loyal Harrison deserved better. What makes this exit particularly brutal is how disposable it made a previously essential character feel. In a show about fixers who controlled narratives, Harrison couldn't control his own ending. One personal scandal, and television's smoothest crisis manager, became a crisis that needed managing off-screen. Number 10. Clayne Crawford's Martin Riggs, Lethal Weapon. How do you replace the irreplaceable? Clayne Crawford's Martin Riggs, the unhinged, suicidal cop that defined the Lethal Weapon franchise, was killed off-screen between seasons after Crawford's on-set behavior proved too volatile even for a character defined by volatility. Crawford brought raw, manic energy to Riggs, honoring Mel Gibson's film portrayal while adding new layers of trauma and humor. His chemistry with Damon Wayans' Murtaugh made the unlikely TV adaptation a surprising hit. Then came the reports of on-set outbursts, safety violations during action scenes, and toxic relationships with cast and crew. Fox faced an impossible choice: cancel their hit show or replace its title character. They chose option 3, kill him. Season 3 opened with Riggs already dead, shot by his half-brother. The ultimate too crazy to live character was simply erased, replaced by Sean William Scott as a new partner. The backlash was vicious. Fans boycotted, ratings plummeted, and Wayans announced his own departure months later. Crawford later posted audio of Wayans allegedly threatening him, claiming he was made the villain in a complex situation. Critics called it the most jarring recast in modern TV, while the show limped through one final season. The irony? A character whose entire appeal was being dangerous proved too dangerous to keep around. In the end, the real lethal weapon wasn't Riggs. It was behind-the-scenes drama that killed a franchise character whose entire film history couldn't keep him alive on TV. Number 9. Janet Hubert's Aunt Vivian, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Remember TV's most jarring replacement? One day she's the fierce, educated Aunt Viv we all knew. The next she's literally a different person. Janet Hubert's original Aunt Vivian on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air wasn't just recast. She was replaced by an entirely different personality after a feud with Will Smith that remained Hollywood legend for decades. The original Aunt Viv was regal, complex, and uncompromising, a professor who delivered powerful monologues about Black identity while still reading Will for Filth when necessary. Then came the infamous third-season swap to Daphne Maxwell Reid, with zero explanation beyond a meta joke about her looking different. Behind the scenes, a war was raging. Hubert claimed Smith sabotaged her after she asked for better treatment, while Smith countered that she was difficult and wanted the show renamed The Aunt Viv of Bel-Air. The truth? Lost somewhere between two irreconcilable versions of events. The aftermath created one of TV's most uncomfortable viewing experiences. A main character with two completely different personalities, depending on which season you're watching. Critics called it television's most egregious character assassination, noting how the new Viv lacked the original's fire and complexity. For 27 years, the feud remained unresolved until the 2020 reunion special, where Smith and Hubert finally buried the hatchet. But nothing can erase those jarring syndication jumps between seasons, where Aunt Viv's entire being transforms before our eyes. One backstage conflict, and television's most formidable matriarch was literally replaced by her opposite. Number 8. Kevin Spacey's Frank Underwood, House of Cards. How do you erase the man who was the entire show? Kevin Spacey's Frank Underwood, the fourth wall-breaking political monster at the center of House of Cards, wasn't just written out. He was buried off-screen with his legacy. Systematically dismantled after Spacey's real-world misconduct, allegations made him unhireable overnight. Underwood was Netflix's first major character, a Machiavellian schemer whose southern drawl delivered chilling asides directly to viewers, making us complicit in his corruption. His calculated rise from house whip to president defined binge-watching culture. Then Anthony Rapp's allegations against Spacey detonated mid-production on the final season. Netflix's response was unprecedented: complete excision. Production halted, scripts rewritten, and when the show returned, Frank was already dead. Claire Underwood stood over his grave and told the audience, "The reign of the middle-aged white man is over." A meta-commentary that barely disguised the chaos behind the scenes. The final season's reviews were brutal, with critics calling it a fascinating mess, trying to salvage an unsalvageable situation. Netflix reportedly lost $39 million on scrapped footage and emergency rewrites. The most jarring aspect? A show that had spent 5 seasons building Frank Underwood as its center had to convince viewers it had actually been Claire's story all along. Television's most controlled character ended up in the one situation he couldn't manipulate: complete erasure. One scandal, and TV's greatest political monster was overthrown without ever getting a final scene. Number 7. Lisa Bonet's Denise Huxtable, A Different World. The original college spin-off star who vanished from her own show. Lisa Bonet's free-spirited Denise Huxtable was supposed to lead A Different World through its entire run. Instead, she disappeared after one season, sent back to The Cosby Show before being written out entirely, proving even Cosby's TV family wasn't immune to behind-the-scenes controversy. Denise was the bohemian heartbeat of the Huxtable clan, whose journey to historically black Hillman College spawned the groundbreaking spin-off. Viewers followed her to experience college life through her unique perspective. Then came Boney's pregnancy with then-husband Lenny Kravitz and reportedly creative differences with producers. Rather than write the pregnancy in, considered too controversial for the family-friendly Cosby universe, Denise simply vanished from Hillman. The show pivoted to Jasmine Guy's Southern Belle Whitley and survived for 5 more seasons without its original lead. Later, Denise returned briefly to the mothership Cosby Show before disappearing on a photography trip to Africa that became permanent. Critics noted the irony. A character defined by unpredictability received television's most predictable fate, erasure when deemed problematic. The spin-off she launched thrived without her, becoming more politically relevant and critically acclaimed in her absence. What makes Denise's exit fascinating isn't just that she was removed from her own show. It's that both shows eventually proved they didn't need her, despite being built around her character. 1. Pregnancy announcement in television's most free-spirited Huxtable found her freedom permanently off-screen. Number 6. Suzanne Summers' Chrissy Snow, Three's Company, the original blonde bombshell who discovered the true cost of asking for equal pay. Suzanne Summers' Chrissy Snow, the ditzy but lovable roommate whose innocent innuendos defined Three's Company, didn't just leave. She was systematically erased after Summers dared to ask for the same money as male TV stars, changing television salary negotiations forever. Chrissy was the heart of the innuendo-laden sitcom, her misunderstandings and double takes driving much of the show's physical comedy. When Summers asked for a raise from $30,000 to $150,000 per episode, comparable to what male actors like Alan Alda were making, producers didn't just refuse. They made an example of her. First, her role was reduced to brief telephone scenes shot separately from the main cast. Then she was replaced entirely by her cousin Cindy, then by Nurse Terry. The message was clear. No actress was irreplaceable, no matter how beloved. The fallout was nuclear. Summers was blacklisted for years while critics noted the surprisingly vindictive way her character was handled. Not killed dramatically, but diminished and discarded. Co-star John Ritter reportedly didn't speak to her for years afterward. What makes Chrissy's exit historic isn't just that it happened. It's that it exposed the double standard female TV stars faced. Years later, Summers would be vindicated as stars like the Friends cast successfully negotiated together. But in 1981, one salary request turned television's most recognizable blonde into a cautionary tale about knowing your place. Number 5. Michael Pitt's Jimmy Darmody, Boardwalk Empire. The protege who wasn't supposed to die until he became too difficult to keep alive. Michael Pitt's Jimmy Darmody, Nucky Thompson's brilliant but troubled right hand on Boardwalk Empire, shocked viewers by getting a bullet in the head in Season 2. In what many insiders claim was HBO's response to Pitt's allegedly difficult on-set behavior. Jimmy was positioned as the show's co-lead, a WWI veteran whose complicated relationship with Nucky drove the series' emotional core. His death wasn't just shocking, it was narratively seismic, coming when most assumed he was safe as a central character. The official line? It was always planned. The whispers? Pitt's alleged lateness, difficulty memorizing lines, and conflicts with the crew sealed Jimmy's fate. The execution scene remains one of TV's most brutal, Nucky putting 2 bullets in Jimmy's head after the young man accepts his fate with the haunting line, "I died in the trench years back." Critics called it the most shocking prestige TV death since Ned Stark, while viewers threatened to abandon the show. Creator Terrence Winter defended the choice, saying, "If you're going to be a gangster show, you have to be a gangster show." But rumors persisted that Pitt had become impossible to work with, forcing their hand. The show continued for 3 more seasons without him, though many felt it never recaptured its early magic. What makes Jimmy's death legendary isn't just its brutality. It's the lingering question of whether one of TV's most promising characters was killed for on-set issues rather than storytelling necessity. One difficult reputation in television's most complex gangster protege got whacked ahead of schedule. Number 4. Valerie Harper's Valerie Hogan, Valerie the Hogan Family. The star who got erased from her own show and watched it continue with her name scrubbed from the title. Valerie Harper's Valerie Hogan, the matriarch of NBC's family sitcom Valerie, didn't just leave. She was killed in an off-screen car accident after Harper requested a raise, creating television's most surreal case of the show must go on. Harper was a beloved TV veteran from The Mary Tyler Moore Show when NBC built Valerie around her as a working mom raising 3 boys. After 2 successful seasons, she asked for a salary increase and more creative control. NBC's response? They not only fired her, they killed her character and renamed the show twice. First Valerie's Family, then the Hogan Family. Sandy Duncan was brought in as the boys' aunt, and the show continued for 4 more seasons as if its original star had never existed. Harper didn't go quietly. She sued NBC and Lorimar Television for wrongful termination and won $1.4 million plus a percentage of the show's profits. Critics were stunned by the network's willingness to continue without its namesake, calling it unprecedented in television history. Viewers kept watching, proving the supporting cast, including young Jason Bateman, could carry the show. What makes this exit historical isn't just its pettiness, it's that the show literally erased her name twice, trying to make audiences forget the woman it was built around. One salary dispute, and television history created the bizarre precedent of a hit show continuing without its title character, main star, or original premise. Number 3. Brett Butler's Grace Kelly, Grace Under Fire. The recovery story that couldn't stick to the script. Brett Butler's Grace Kelly, the recovering alcoholic single mom who anchored ABC's Grace Under Fire, disappeared after 5 seasons when Butler's real-life substance struggles and on-set behavior made the show's premise of recovery too painfully ironic to continue. Grace was revolutionary, a blue-collar, Southern single mom with razor-sharp wit navigating sobriety while raising 3 kids. The show was a top 10 hit, and Butler's authentic performance came from her own experiences with recovery. Then life imitated art in the worst way possible. As Butler's reported addiction issues resurfaced, the set became chaotic. Cast members quit, production was repeatedly halted, and Butler allegedly flashed her breasts at her young co-star. ABC finally pulled the plug midway through the 5th season, with episodes filmed but never aired. The fallout was devastating. Butler disappeared from Hollywood for years, eventually revealing she became homeless at one point. Critics noted the tragic irony. A show celebrating recovery ended because recovery is never guaranteed. One producer called it watching someone's life implode in real time. What makes Grace's disappearance particularly haunting isn't just how it happened. It's that the character represented hope for so many actual recovering addicts. The show's premise of maintaining sobriety while facing life's challenges became a painful mirror of its stars' struggles. One relapse, and television's most authentic portrayal of recovery, became a cautionary tale about recovery's fragility. Number 2. Taylor Momsen's Jenny Humphrey, Gossip Girl. From sweet underdog to villain to vanished without explanation. Taylor Momsen's Jenny Humphrey, the ambitious Brooklyn girl trying to break into Manhattan's elite on Gossip Girl, didn't just leave, she was banished to Hudson after Momsen's real-life transformation from child actor to rock star made her increasingly unavailable and allegedly difficult on set. Jenny began as the show's relatable entry point, the talented outsider with dreams of fashion design. Over 3 seasons, she morphed into a raccoon-eyed schemer before being hastily written out with minimal explanation. Behind the scenes, Momsen was transforming too, launching her band The Pretty Reckless and adopting a goth aesthetic miles from the CW's glossy teen image. Reports of lateness, attitude issues, and forgetting lines surfaced as Momsen's music career took precedence. Producer Tim Gunn, guest starring in one episode, publicly called her pathetic and unprofessional. By season 4, Jenny was reduced to guest appearances before disappearing almost entirely. Critics noted the character assassination that preceded her exit, turning the once sympathetic Jenny into an almost cartoonish villain to justify her removal. Fans were divided, with Little J supporters feeling her character's destruction was punishment for Momsen's off-screen choices. What makes Jenny's exit particularly noteworthy isn't just how it happened. It's that the show transformed her character beyond recognition before discarding her, making her journey from sympathetic underdog to disposable villain feel like meta-commentary on Momsen herself. One career change and television's most ambitious Brooklyn teenager was exiled permanently upstate. Number 1. T.R. Knight's George O'Malley, Grey's Anatomy. The ultimate shocking TV death no one saw coming. T.R. Knight's George O'Malley, the sweet, unassuming heart of Grey's Anatomy's original interns, was literally thrown under a bus in the season 5 finale after Knight reportedly requested to leave following the toxic atmosphere created by Isaiah Washington's earlier controversy. George was the moral compass of Seattle Grace, the ordinary guy among extraordinary talents whose empathy made him exceptional. His heroic death, jumping in front of a bus to save a stranger, was shocking not just for its brutality, but because viewers didn't even realize it was George under the bandages until the episode's final moments. Behind the scenes, Knight had reportedly become frustrated with diminished screen time and the lingering effects of Washington's homophobic slur, which had prompted Knight to come out publicly. Creator Shonda Rhimes granted his request to leave with a death so heartbreaking it's still considered one of TV's most devastating exits. The fallout was seismic. Fans were blindsided, with many threatening to quit the show. Critics called it emotional terrorism, while praising the shocking reveal. The double punch, learning it was George under the bandages and watching him die in the same episode, created a TV moment impossible to spoil in the pre-social media era. What makes George's exit legendary isn't just how he died, it's that his death represented the end of Grey's Anatomy's original innocence. The sweet character who failed his medical exam and drew a 007 nickname became the first major original cast member to die, proving no one was safe in Shondaland. One toxic environment and television's most endearing surgeon flatlined in the most gut-wrenching way possible. From daring to ask for equal pay to behind-the-scenes feuds that turned deadly, these characters didn't just leave, they were erased, sometimes taking entire shows down with them. Which exit shocked you the most? Was it George's bus accident or Frank Underwood's off-screen demise? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, in the high-stakes world of television, today's irreplaceable star can become tomorrow's cautionary tale, just one controversial moment away from being written into oblivion.